I was just saying it's being slow today because of all the extras. There we go. Now it's working. Cool.
Well, the extras meaning us two, basically.
Like the extra places we're streaming to, giving StreamYard a run for its money today.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's really good to see you both. I bet you've been really busy with your plans, eh? You're getting all your stuff ready. Coming stateside.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's well, I mean, it's hectic. It's a hectic life anyway. But certainly for the last, I guess, 4 weeks, it's been hectic plus some more. As we do sort of dot the I's, cross the T's, coming over to the US, getting everything sorted out, the Esters, the flights, yeah, all done.
Yeah, nice.
Pretty much all done. So all we got to do is get ourselves ready and off to Heathrow.
Wonderful. How
Hopefully
exciting.
that'll be okay.
And one of your new students is watching already. Good morning, Bradley. I bet he's excited to be here next week to join us in New York. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to meeting Bradley and the other people that are there.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good course. It's going to be a good course. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we always have a good course. We always have a good laugh as well. I think that's one of the things, really, from my perspective. You know, when we're all sat at home as we are now, working, we've got our heads down, and we're just kind of working through doing things. You know, it still is a bit disconnected in that way. So it's nice to come together actually in a room and we all talk, and you know, we obviously, you know, we kind of go through all the emotional stuff, don't we? Because it's a few ups and downs, and we have a laugh and we talk about things, and you know, it's like-minded people. So a lot of it is kind of connecting to people like you, really, that have sat in the same room for a week where we talk about all sorts of things. And obviously we go through the, you know, the course content. And we're actually quite good now, I have to say, because we've done it twice.
Yeah.
I think myself and Jonno feel quite confident that we know the subject and the way that we're delivering it and the timings and all those things that only come together when you do it. Until you've done it a few times, you obviously have to kind of, you know, hone that type of thing, really, which is, it feels like we are there from that perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love the podcast that you guys have been doing recently on the SRA page, getting to know the different practitioners, the facilitators, and the mediums. I love that because everybody else gets to know how wonderful our other practitioners are.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, as you know, Lara, coming on the course, it's a big journey for people. People never really know what to expect until they get there because, you know, we do say that it is a course kind of like no other, and it's not meant in an arrogant way at all. It's just meant that we don't know any course that is like ours. So, you know, when people come in and do the course, there is a leap of faith into it as well. And the course can be very exposing, can be very trusting. And of course, as we get to the last day, the 5th day, can be very draining because that whole week has been built up. We're getting to the work, we're doing the cases. And then on the Friday, it's like, what do you mean I'm going home? What do you mean this is the end of the course? And where will my buddies be tomorrow? That's the thing. And then, of course, that relationship is continued as we work forwards and move forwards together. But yeah, it's a big 5 days. It's a very big 5 days. Normally by the end of it, Andy and I are pretty much done.
Spent.
We've been drained, basically. I think because it's a subject we're like so passionate about, and like yourself, Lara, that's what we live. You know, we live it every day. We're doing it every day. We're talking about it every day. You know, we're building the academy in terms of a global organization every day. So you know, the amount of time and effort going into this is massive, really, from our perspective. So when we do these courses, the passion comes out, and we actually enjoy teaching and talking to people, and it's kind of what we do because it's. You know, it was one of the things I used to find with Terry. You know, if you sat in a room with Terry, some people find him, you know, thrilling. Other people find him a bit boring because all he does is talk about this stuff all day. So you're not going to have a conversation about the weather, about cars, about holidays. If you're sat with Terry, you're talking about clearing people, SRT, psychiatry, you know, and mental health, basically. That was kind of Terry's way.
Well, it's definitely it's an important vocation for sure. And I feel that some people are sensing, they're feeling that they may have some kind of vocation themselves. So what would you say is a sign for somebody? Maybe a little bit of passion, a little excitement, maybe a little bit of training in the form of because a lot of us are kind of in training before we even join the academy. It's like spirit knows what's coming, and so things kind of do get a little intensified.
I think that's the thing. You know, we always use the phrase, "Do you hear the call?" You know, and sometimes, you know, it's not about us having people that have to think about doing this. Is it something I want to do? Is it not what I want to do? Do I want to study in this? It's people that just know that they find out what it is that we do, and then they're like, "This is for me. This is what I'm doing." We have people that are very, very professionally qualified coming in as facilitators. We have mediums that have got years of experience coming in and working within the team. And likewise, we have facilitators that haven't really got that bullet point on the CV where they've done this, done this, done this, done this. And there's a couple of people that I'm thinking about that wouldn't have that historic knowledge and training already, yet they knew when they saw the SRT course that they were going to do it. And those two people I'm particularly thinking about are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal what they do. So as for what qualifications people need, yes, it's going to help if people have a good understanding of holistic practices or psychiatry in some sort of way, but it's not essential. Not for this work, because it's the guides that do the work. And what we look for particularly are people with a very strong attitude towards ethical practices, people that are honest, people that work within a team. You know, the academy is never I. You know, you'll never hear myself or Andy talk about me, I. It's always the academy, it's always the team, it's always the practitioners. And we would like that attitude and energy around the academy to go forward, really. So if that's kind of your mold, your fit, then that's what we're looking for. If you're drawn to this, if you wake up and see something and you think, I'm doing that, then we want to hear from you. We have had people come in and apply for it. This is why we have the application process. People that have applied for it, they apply for it, and they don't want to work doing what we do. So then you've got to think, why are you applying for it? And, you know, like we've said so many times before, Lara, on the website, we don't have a buy it now button. We have an apply now.
Yeah.
And this is why, because, you know, we've seen it where one person can come in and totally disrupt the whole team. That's going to distract our work. That's going to distract us from going forwards. And we're not about that. We're about going forwards. We're about getting this into institutions and into professional entities and working entities. I don't mean demonic. You know, getting it forward in that way. And, you know, we have to have the right people behind us that are trained practitioners, getting, you know, the right information out there, the right ethics, the right professionalism, the right feedback, and then we can start really making waves rather than ripples. So if that's somebody that is out there that thinks, oh, that's me, I can do that, then you're the person we want to talk to. It doesn't really matter what you've got on your CV.
Yes. Well said. And I think that the work also, I mean, I've been aware of this work for about a year now, and how much it has evolved over that year as well is really exciting to see, because, you know, it's expanding. It's always learning. The protocols get longer. We're always looking for new things to clear and to grow with. And I love that so many of us are able to bring some of our knowledge and experience and share it in different ways. And like I was just talking with these guys this morning a little bit about some of the clearings that we've been doing. Because as many of you know, there's been some areas that have been heavily affected by some really awful stuff recently. And we've even been doing some property clearings and going through and clearing whole towns. We cleared Asheville yesterday. We cleared 3 other smaller towns around it. And to be able to do that, because a year ago when I started doing this work, I was interested in helping the individual, because I figured you help one person at a time and, it's like paying it forward. But when you're able to go into a town energetically, I guess to say, through the remote viewing and help hundreds of people all at once, there's no words to express how empowered and how just grateful I am that we are able to, that we're in that position to be able to do that. Because I can't think of any other organization that is doing the work that we do, that is doing it at the level that we do, that is doing it with the training and the expertise that we have. And to be able to help people to the degree that we are, I feel that it is the best choice I ever made for myself. Hands down.
Well, that's fantastic to hear.
I'm just really glad that I'm able to do this, and I'm able to do this because of you both. And I just want to express my gratitude for everything that you guys have been doing, because you're not just helping people in the UK, you're helping people literally worldwide, people in Australia, America. I mean, we're literally helping people everywhere, in every corner of the earth. And it just, it almost brings me to tears how grateful I am. So thank you both.
Wow, that never happens very often, Lara, does it?
I know it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm getting choked up. But it was heavy last night what we cleared from those towns. We cleared 4 towns in one day, and the pain that people feel, to be able to do something about it rather than just to send thoughts and prayers, because they are powerful. Thoughts and prayers are powerful. But to be able to do more, to take it to the next level, to be able to assist souls who are going through the most traumatic experience they've probably ever gone through in this lifetime.
Yeah.
There's no words to express how good it feels.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Actually, if you look at the kind of landscape now, really, when we all look at the news and we see what's going on in the world, and we look at kind of, places like Israel and some of these other places, there's so much anger and negativity and just negative energy and stuff. And we know that means there'll be entities there that are very negative, creating those problems and feeding off that vibration, that level of energy. So there has to be the counterbalance. There has to be people on this planet that are here to make, to at least kind of bring that game into equilibrium. And I think because we're working with spirit guides and we're working with spiritual entities that are very powerful, that is that kind of equilibrium, really. So I guess we're sort of pretty humble people. We're all sort of fortunate enough to know that, we're all living our lives, and one day we'll take our last breath and disappear. But what we hope to leave behind us is other people like us that can continue this kind of fight, I guess, to bring this planet into a much more positive place for our children and grandchildren and those that come behind us, really. Because ultimately, we as individuals don't really have anything to do, really, our own personal life. But as an organisation, where SRA is and what it's doing, it's going to leave behind it this foundation of people all over the world that are bringing this place back into balance. So it kind of, is a huge thing that's going on, even though the 3 of us don't see it that way every day because we just wake up and do our stuff. But ultimately, if there aren't people here trying to get that balance, then this planet's going to kind of descend into a very negative prison planet, I guess. And it probably already is. But, we need to bring that back into positive place.
Yes.
And it's easily done. It's easily done. It's just raising vibration. But the difficulty of it is having that exposure, is having everyone just change their mindset slightly. We all know that you can get out of bed one of 2 ways. You can look at the world very negatively, very heavily, live in that energy, and you will attract that energy and you will manifest that energy. Or you can get out of bed and think, right, let's have it. Let's have a bit of a day. We've had
what can I do today?
Yeah. We've had a sunrise today. That's brought lights up. That means we've got opportunity. Now let's do it. And what we're seeing with the Academy is that there is a huge support structure there. And we've got people in Europe, we've got people in Dubai, we've got people now going over in other places as well. And as that community gets wider, it also gets stronger. And we all know, those that are in the Academy, those practitioners that have got the certification, we know how the practitioners stand together when it's needed. So, It's just about helping people, raising the vibration of the world. The vibration of the world can easily change. It is literally just getting that exposure out there, getting a little bit of knowledge out there, people understanding about protecting energy, looking after energy, enhancing energy, and then manifesting energy. And then that will make the waves of change that we're looking for. As I said earlier, rather than the ripples, let's get a tidal wave coming in of positivity, healing, clearing. Let's get it all done.
I love that.
Got to start somewhere, isn't it?
And I imagine the spirit side is growing too. Chen is always saying about how there's more and more spirit guides and even deities that are joining up with doing this work.
Yeah. Well, we hear it. We hear when somebody applies and gets accepted and comes through, and the guides are already on it. The guides already knew that was a smooth application, and they started working already as a team, preparing and getting things ready. That's not something that's uncommon with us. We've heard that a few times. As always, the guides always know best. The guides know more than we do. The guides are at least 2 or 3 steps ahead of the game, aren't they?
Well, they do have the power of foresight. So.
Yeah, Bradley has just said SRT, Spirit Release Tsunami.
Hey, perfect. That's a perfect thing to say. Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think it feels quite nice, really, from our perspective that SRA is growing, but it's also growing in different areas, and we're not really, I can see a day when SRA is an organisation that is kind of global, and we have people running different parts in different countries, and trainings going on at the same time simultaneously in different countries, during the same timelines, and there's lots of other kind of spokes this wheel, I guess, that we talk about that haven't really manifested yet, but kind of coming. So it's a very interesting place to be. I think when I was talking to Chen the other day, he was talking about something, and he said, this is so, the energy in terms of how we're working and what we're doing is so new. Like you just said, Lara, no one else is doing this on the planet that I know of. Right. There's certainly not an organisation doing it that we've looked for and tried to find. So we are like the cutting edge of the new, embracing the new way of working. And if you look at the old way of helping people that were hearing voices, intrusive thoughts and things, that was kind of exorcism done in the old way by the Catholic Church.
I was going to say the Catholic Church had the monopoly on that one. And from what I've seen from doing my own clearings after there's already been an exorcism conducted, they tend to make things worse than better. Most of them know what they're doing.
Also having the monopoly on it is the right phrase to use as well.
Yeah.
Whereas this is accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I can remember talking to someone a few weeks ago, and they were talking about the old rituals they used in the Catholic Church would take days to perform, and obviously the priests would go home tired, and they were
They take 2 days to do a full exorcism.
Yeah,
they still do. In fact, I know somebody that's a client messaged me and said, well, I have one scheduled that I paid several $100s for, so I'm going to make sure I see through that one first. And I said, that's fine. Message me after. Let's see how you did.
That's the thing. Like the priest is battling head to toe with demonic entities, which takes days and time, and it's can be quite painful. We take seconds basically because we're working with a team in spirit that do it for us. So obviously, it's very clear to see the new way to do things isn't to battle things head to toe in the old world. We're working with entities that do it for us, and it happens in seconds. So we don't need to spend days and days. And that old religious method is so now out of dated, and we are the new version of that, basically.
I think a lot of it's also dramatized as well for TV because of what people are used to seeing on TV from the movies like The Exorcist. They have a very different opinion as to what. But it is important to note that even Michelle did mention this. People did die through exorcism from the church.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there's lots of stories of ongoing problems from people that have either experienced, and I'm not saying necessarily about the Catholic Church, but people that experience exorcisms, the families of the priest, the families of the people that were cleared. This is just different. It's very, very safe what we do. It's built around safety and ease. So, we got to be protected, because if we're not protected, we can't do the work. And if our family are not protected, we can't do the work. And if we're getting distracted by negative stuff all the time, we can't do the work. So it is about shaving off the dark shadows, keeping the light, keeping our heads kind of in radar, but heavily protected. And that way we've got that very, very strong team that we can go in the trenches. We can go in and get muddy and dirty.
Stuff. We got backup, you know, we've got somebody that can clear us. Yeah.
Go in and get out. Yeah.
I think that's the motto, isn't it? Actually, we probably need to come up with a mission statement for SRA. It's something like that, isn't it? Get in and get out unseen.
Yeah.
Well, we did see from some of old sessions that Terry conducted up on his YouTube channel, because for those of you who don't know, you can go and check out some of Dr. Palmer's old case studies, which are fascinating. What really got my attention when I was interested in doing the work. But it was funny. I'll never forget. There was one case study where there was quite a bad attachment, and they said, and I think Dr. Palmer said something like this to Chen. He goes, if a priest were to come in and do this clearing, would they have been successful? And Chen laughed and said, no, I think the priest would have left with a bigger problem than what he came with. And he actually tried to do this clearing, because what you can't see is not so easy for you to remove, especially because we don't just deal with entities. We deal with the things they leave behind too. They leave implants. They leave these dark patches. They leave, one of the people I cleared the other day had almost like Vaseline all over their whole body. It was like this funky residue that was all over them. And when I messaged them and told them this, they said, you know, I could literally feel it. I could just feel this funky gunkiness all over me, and I couldn't clear it. And that's what we do. We don't just clear the entities, we clear all the funky shit too. That's
not the Matrix, isn't it? When all the humans are in the little cocoon.
Yeah.
Before they pull the plug and then they disappear off down that tube and pop out into the kind of water. Yeah,
my entity had flicked them up like a greased pig. I couldn't believe that actually was something.
They did what?
But it is.
They greased them up like a they did what?
Well, that's an American expression, Jonno. You're gonna have to learn some of those before you come over here. Like a greased up pig. Yep.
What's a greased up pig?
But yes, it's just you never know what you're gonna find on people, because this stuff is just every day there's something new. And that's part of what I find to be, I must admit, exciting about this work, because you never know. Yeah. I'm actually working on a manual too. I'm writing down all the information about the different things that we clear from people, because you just never know. There's all kinds of very strange things. I've been finding starfish creatures on people that are galactics, apparently, as well, like level 3 starfish things. There was suckers that attach to people. Like, you just can't make this shit up. And what we, you know what I mean, what we clear and what we find, because it's never a dull moment. There's always something interesting. It's a very strange planet we're on without even being aware of it.
Well, I think that's what you can't see in films as well, don't you? When we watch sci-fi films, when you start to do this work and you actually look at lots of the films that we grew up with, you know, things like Alien, things like that, you know, again, you see kind of, you know, like in the Alien films, obviously the entity sends stuff down into someone's stomach, and then the host person becomes an incubator for their eggs, and it kind of explodes
about a week ago on somebody. Yep, I did not mention this in the report, because if it had been my report, I would not have wanted to know personally that I had an egg sac attached to me. So I do, on a very rare occasions, leave some little things out because of how shocking and disturbing they might be. But yeah, it's out there. It does happen.
Yeah. But then it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, as well? Because you think if we're an energetic being, then obviously we've got this interdimensional vibration aspect to ourselves in different frequencies. So, you know, other things are bound to try to connect to us and use our energy and do, because we do the same to all the animals on the planet, don't we? Every animal species, we harvest them in one way or another for something, whether it's chickens or dogs or pigs or cats or cows or whatever. You know, we're using things continually for the things that we want. So it isn't a big shock to think that we'd be used in the same way, really. And I was Jane a while ago, we were talking about something, and I laughed and said, can you imagine opening a fridge and seeing loads of humans in there? I said, I want the Caucasian white with black hair this morning for lunch. In the same way that we open the fridge and go, we'll have a chicken, or we'll have cow, or we'll have beef. You know, you can imagine.
The reptilians have quite an extensive refrigerator underground. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can imagine, they open the fridge and think, what do we fancy today?
I have always wondered if this is why the Galactic Federation and many of the other ETs that kind of monitor things on Earth, they're like, well, he did get eaten, but he ate a lot of cows in his lifetime, like, like a Lizzie got him, but at the same time, he was also eating gator last week. So, I mean, is it really, like...
We don't get
worry about eating gator in New York, Jonno. You're good.
Yeah, we get trout.
So I mean, I can understand why it's, like I said, this world is complicated.
Yeah, everything's balanced, isn't it? And sometimes it's a realization, and certainly a very big eye opener when you understand balance. Yeah, and if you try to understand balance and you try to understand energy and you try and think that we're at the top of the food chain, we're at the top of energy chain, we're at the top of civilization.
I think we're down here somewhere when the top's like up there. We're a lot lower than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah,
but
I think Karen's had some
how
data.
we are, we're getting up there though. We can we're learning to hold our own energetically, so to speak.
It's changing.
It is.
Certainly the last 10 years that Andy and I met this morning, and we were talking then, and I know it goes back longer than 10 years. We've seen the differences, but certainly the last 10 years has been quite a shift actually in how people are opening their eyes, understanding things a little bit differently, understanding that mainstream is not always the only stream.
Yes.
There's other streams out there as well, and it's up to you to decide whether or not that information hits home, hits the gut, and feels real, I think.
So just to talk a little bit about the online portion as well, because you guys are offering online training, and I've been hearing wonderful things from some of the people that have been doing it. They're very excited to be completing it so they can get involved. How has that been going from your perspective?
Very easy, very smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, everything we do, we try and make it as easy as possible and as smooth as possible for people. We run the online training. We do it on a monthly basis, taking students forward. We run it in the morning, or we run it in our morning and our evening, which means that we cater for people on the Southern Hemisphere and the people on the eastern side of Europe in the morning. And then we do the evening, which is more accustomed to people across the pond, the other side of the lake, America, Canada, South America. So really, when we think of how many people we have in the morning and the locations they're in and where they're positioned throughout the world, and then we do exactly the same course in the evening, it's just that amazement of seeing how far this is all spreading out, but it's working. This is the first online course we're doing. So again, it's making sure that we try and dot the I's and cross the T's before we do the course, so that it does run smoothly and easily for people. And so far it seems to be the case. That is the feedback that we're getting. People are coming in, they're learning, and then it won't be that long before we start bringing cases in, and people can start working them and seeing how the protocol works and how it all fits together, how all those little pieces fit together to find a big picture. That's the exciting thing.
It really is. And finding out that one of the cool things about it is getting to know each other, because I feel that many of us, and this is something I actually confirmed when I was in France, is that the people that I work with, especially the ones that I work closely with, I knew in past lives. And many of us, it's not just a group that you're coming together as like colleagues, it's like a family.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise, is it, when we look at each other, however we look at each other, and when we connect to each other, you sort of realize that clearly we're all doing this work and we're in the same trench because we have past lives together, and we've all decided to live different locations geographically. But when you look at connecting those people up, it connects to a huge grid around the world. People in Argentina, Europe, UK, Canada, Australia, not and onwards, it goes, and it's Dubai, and every single country. We've got people either in or likely to be in doing this type of work. So it's no surprise, is it, when we actually get together, you think, you were my pain in the ass brother, sister, dad, mother, whatever, really, from a past life.
It still has that vibe for some of us.
Take your pick, Lara.
I do call these guys big brothers. I do all the time. So yeah, you can definitely feel the connection between people that you start working with. And we do kind of create little groups of buddies, because we're traveling around. Like some of us are even traveling around now. Every time we're going on holiday, we're all like, okay, well, I guess we're all going.
But that's what I think is so. It's like a smashing thing, isn't it, that you guys have set up, which doesn't involve me and Jonno at all. Like, you guys behind the scenes are connected. You're talking, you're holidaying, you're doing stuff together. It's amazing to watch, really. To think that from that group and that connection to do that course, you guys have become very close friends, and you're working together and chat to each other, and it's kind of marvelous to see, really.
And when we go on holidays, we clear stuff. That's like our big thing. We love it,
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, if you talk to the guides, talk to Jen, Whitehawk, and the guides, they'll all tell you that, you're probably not going on holiday. They want you to be somewhere. They find the reason for you to go, basically. So you kind of get put somewhere because they need you to be there more than for you personally, effectively.
No, I can claim all my holidays as work trips now with the IRS. Fantastic.
Yeah. Helps on the expenses, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful.
But I mean, certainly for the online course, a couple of questions that have come in. Yes, it is designed to be around 10 months. That was because we have the in-person course, which is for people that have the ability to take time out of work or bring this into their work and do those 5 days intense training. The online course was something that we wanted to make sure that it was accessible to many people. So people that don't have the ability to take time out of work, time out of their family lives, this is something they can do in the evening, let it roll, learn, let it roll, learn, let it roll, learn, etc., until we go through the whole course. So yeah, it is a 10-month course. We are doing more next year, and we will be rolling them on as well. So when Andy and I come back from America on the 20th, probably once we've got over jet lag, we'll be meeting up and planning the changes for next year, because there's going to be a few positive changes that you'll start seeing coming through, hopefully within just a couple of weeks of us coming back. But there will be more online courses going, more online happening. As for the question of is there a payment plan, we're not sure. It is something we're going to look at. It is something we're going to do our best to make sure we achieve that, because we do get asked it. It is something we want to do. The problem we have is that we have certain financial companies that will do this for us, but won't touch us because of the work that we do and the process that we have. So that means that we're very restricted in payment plans, which is why we've only left it open for the in-person course at the moment. But we do hear you. We do hear it's a concern. We do hear that people want to be able to do it. And we are going to discuss it and see if we can just turn that corner and move forward. So hopefully, but there's no commitment to that at the moment, but we are working forward for it.
You both have had a lot on your plates for quite some time now. So we're just glad that you're as organized as you are. It's been very busy, and the influx of people and interest in clearings and all kinds of stuff, as well as our personal lives. Like, it's been a hell of a year.
It's been well, for many reasons, it's been a hell of a year.
Yeah, Jonno's almost met his maker twice.
I was gonna say, yeah. How are you doing? Are you feeling any better? Are you getting you're healing up good?
Yeah, we're certainly on the right road. Thank you very much.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And when I go up, I just say, it ain't happening yet. You better put me back down. Andy's not ready for a lifetime of haunting.
No, yeah. That's what would happen, mate, if I peg out. I'll be kicking your ass every day.
See, this is one of the funny things about this work is I'm sure that many of the Earthbounds we clear have the same attitude. Like, I'm gonna just stick around and haunt this person for a while. And we're like, no, time to get.
I mean, certainly when I go through those pearly gates, the first thing on my list is to come and annoy that one.
Yeah. Especially not happening at the same time.
Just quickly, just want to respond to Hunter, because you very, very kindly put on the PayPal credit, no interest for 6 months. But PayPal is a company that will create problems for us. So although we can take payment for our clearings individually and things like that, as soon as we start going into an amount of money, PayPal won't benefit the Academy in any way. And by benefiting the Academy, for anybody that knows me and Andy, we're not talking about taking stuff and us being promoted and blah, blah, blah. It has to be fair for the Academy as well as for the people coming through on the student base. And until we find a company that will do that, we can't work that way, I'm afraid. And PayPal at the moment doesn't do that. We have.
I think it's a good point as well, isn't it? Is that what we've always tried to do, and we'll probably achieve it sometimes and sometimes we won't, but we're trying to make sure that the Academy is an ethical company with integrity, and we try and do things truthfully, and we're trying to make sure that we tick all the boxes and we treat people fairly. And it's only when you start to run this sort of thing you realize how hard it is to do, because actually when you're working on your own, doing your own thing, then you can have integrity and you can treat people properly and stuff. But you try and do it as a business and corporation, you have to deal with other companies, banks, financial institutions, your trademarking companies, copyright, and suddenly all these other things, a lot of them don't have integrity and don't treat you with any either. So it's a bit like a minefield that you're trying to kind of navigate to be able to set something up that's worldwide that offers the right sort of energy and vibration that we talk about, because we don't want to be those people that talk about things in one way and then don't do it behind the scenes, because that really isn't going to benefit anybody. So, it's difficult to do. And I'm sure you know yourself, Lara, with the SRA stuff, it's hard to get something set up and working and successful. It's easy to get it set up and working, but it's much harder to try and keep it working and keep it growing and keep websites and emails and all the management and the admin stuff behind the scenes becomes quite difficult to do, actually.
It's funny. It kind of reminds me of running a restaurant. I've run restaurants before from the get-go, and these things start out strong and going very well because there's interest and there's promotions and there's like new stuff, and then and then things start to die down. It gets quieter, and you have to struggle a bit, to lift it back up, and keeping the interest and the excitement and all of the flow of energy coming and going from it is not easy. No, this is something I've learned very much so. Yes.
Yeah, I think the big thing for us has been managing people's expectations, because since day one, this was all kind of exposed before we were ready. We didn't even have a website that was ready. So it's kind of,
to be fair.
I was gonna say that was my bad. Sorry. You guys got a lot of heat really quick out the gate.
Yeah. So and then getting the courses done. But like Andy says, there's a million accountants out there, but we want the right one. There are companies out there that we could sign in and do a financial agreement this afternoon, but they're not the companies that we want to work with, because they don't protect the student, or they don't protect us. It has to be a fair thing, so that either party is protected legally, and no one is about. We're not about making extra money. We can do that this afternoon if we want. We'll chuck 19% on it, and we'll have an agreement this afternoon.
I really appreciate how you guys helped us navigate that too, like the assistance with getting insurance and all those little details, because all of the fine details is very important. And sometimes when you finish a course, you're like let's say for a Reiki course, for example, you're like, okay, what next? Like, where do I even begin to market myself? How do I organize myself? How do I protect myself? And that is all covered, and it's really refreshing to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the conversation, the training, something that people don't think of. Towards the end of the 5 days, we'll take you through a legal conversation of what you do.
Yeah,
and the entity you're building yourself. and the business you're building yourself. And we go through legal challenges. We go through things like that. We go through absolutely everything. It's a very, very in-depth course. And, we've got Julia, who works with us, who has been absolutely amazing for us. She's a business coach. She's holistically open, I think is the right phrase. So she understands energy to an enough degree. She understands it enough to be able to get what we do. And her business advice is exceptional. And, we have her that we sponsor speaking to practitioners if they want her advice. So even, if you want to turn up and get a certificate and go and work on your own, that's absolutely fine. We're not a dictatorship and we're not a cult. But if you want to stay with us and work, we'll help you as much as we possibly can. We'll help you grow your business. We'll help you get exposure. We'll help you do whatever we can. And one of the ways is by bringing Julia in, who has been fantastic for the Academy. And we already know people that have had meetings with her and really speak well of her. But on that note, I do have to duck out, I'm afraid.
I was about to say, you do have your appointment. That's totally understandable, Jonno. It was really great to see you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you over the weekend. You didn't tell me what your favorite kind of pie is yet, though. I'm making some pies. I've got an apple one I'm going to make for Andy. What's your favorite?
No, I thought I said red wine pie.
No, you're going to get red wine. Yes, I'll get you a bottle. But you're also going to get pie. What's your favorite, Jonno?
I think if we're coming to America, it has to be nothing other than apple pie.
Apple pie.
Oh, making it easy for me.
You can't be apple pie with custard, of course.
That's English. No,
You're
getting confused. We have ice cream here, not that kind of custard. Ours is frozen custard. Not that liquid stuff that you pour all over it.
Frozen.
Well, we're happy to try whatever, Lara. That's fine. It's very kind.
What kind of place are we going to, Andy?
It's going to be great. I'm going to bring you some Amish treats. You'll love it.
We might learn a lot from the Americans, Jonno. I got a feeling. Because everything's pretty broken and shit over here.
You'll see. We'll take good care of you. Don't worry.
Look at that. Australia has custard.
Hey, Australia. We're not
Andrea's trying to get us to come to a training in Australia. She doesn't want to fly out. I don't blame you, Andrea, for wanting to fly 23 hours to training. So it looks like we have to go to Aussie land as well for training.
Fantastic. Perhaps we need to come up with a new model of, like, I don't know, some hieroglyphic training or something.
Love it.
I'm with Elise. Can't beat custard. Me and Elise against the world. The custard army.
Custard is
custard. And on that delightful custard note, I do have to back out. I do have to get myself down the doctor's.
Good to see you, Jonno.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, and see you soon, Lara.
See you soon, bud.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Time to start grilling Andy.
There we go. Custard.
Any questions for the Andy? Anybody?
I'm going to bring you some custard.
I can make custard from scratch. Thank you very much. I
probably can make better custard than we can. Yeah.
Are we talking custard or a creme anglaise? Because I can make both.
If it's yellow and it's hot, it tastes like custard.
You want the yellow one?
I'm not too particular.
The yellow one doesn't. That's not even real. That comes in a packet, Andy. That doesn't count.
It tastes great.
No, the yellow. No. Real custard isn't yellow.
That's not custard then. It's not the
Anybody have any questions that aren't related to custard?
I was just going to look through the questions actually to see that we've covered everything. I know that Hunter popped a few questions on.
Michelle says you have a Culver's there. I have no idea what you're talking about, Michelle, so probably not. Jane says ambrosia custard. That's the word, ambrosia custard.
Ambrosia. Oh, right. That's really what Jane makes, actually, because she makes everything really well. That was why I married her, to be fair, because she was a good cook.
Oh, is that why?
It wasn't the only reason, to be fair, but that definitely came into the category of ticking the boxes.
And you know what they say about a man's heart? The quickest way to reach it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sylvia has a work-related question. Wonderful, Sylvia. Thank you. When is your next protection course?
What, mine?
Yes.
We're October. We've got one in October that starts 6 weeks, basically. So we're doing like a 6-week online course. and we cover all the same things that we cover.
How fast Agata is. Agata, you're amazing. Thank you.
So
there it is.
Agata's good. I think Agata's done it actually. So
I know, nailed it. Thank you. Very thoughtful of you. There's the link.
She's very good. So yeah, so basically that's kind of, and this I guess is the thing, is trying to get more and more people understanding the concepts of protection, and we need to get people doing it every day and thinking about themselves and the families, and we can start making a big change if we can get people into that sort of mindset. And I think that's one of the things on the roadmap from my perspective when we come back from the States is I kind of see Jonno kind of going one way a bit really with SRA, and I'm kind of going in a different direction. But I kind of want to take it into, making it more professional and trying to connect to some of these other organizations and taking the conversation into the mental health area, basically, so we can start talking about why it works. We know it works. We've got the stats to say that it works. And we need to get that kind of conversation out to the general public. So when someone has a mental health problem, or they have intrusive thoughts and voices or schizophrenia or something, the first conversation is you need to be sovereign and you need to be cleared, rather than any other conversation. And if it doesn't work, then they can go down the normal route that they would. But I think trying to get the general public to understand there is this other holistic option. And, I think Chen, obviously do these Chen posts, these memes every day. Not every day, but
I'm liking the memes, by the way. Very good.
Yeah. Well, I've got to enjoy it, really, because obviously I'm sat talking to him and he's saying, right, type this into, to Midjourney is the AI tool that I generally use to create the kind of imagery and stuff. And he tells me what he wants, and then I type it in, and then we kind of try 2 or 3 different versions until I get an image he wants. Then he says, yep, okay, that one. So that's the image. And then obviously put some words on that he gives me, and then I'll download that and then write some text to go with the image. So I've sort of found it quite interesting to see where he's going with some of these things. But one of the ones he did the other week, he wanted to put a question out to try and get a conversation around, is mental health a spiritual problem, basically. So he's very keen to start pushing people's buttons in a good or bad way, I guess.
I was going to say, you never know with Chen how it's going to be interpreted. I guess it's down to the person who's getting the buttons pushed.
Yeah. So, for some people, they might think, oh, in mental health, perhaps it is a spiritual problem. Let's talk about it. And other people are going to say, well, there is no spiritual stuff anyway, therefore it's all a load of, whatever. So, but trying to get that conversation, it's trying to get people talking, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah. Sandra had a good question. Have you all ever went back and did a clearing on yourself for yourself at a different age that you are not currently?
No, I haven't done that. I think it's quite a good question.
We do send healing down our timeline occasionally, though, when we clear past life residence or something. I guess
we did do past life stuff. And quite often when I teach that course, we do like a future meditation as well. So we kind of go forward in time and we see ourselves in like the next year or 2 years or 5 years time. So you can kind of get a view from the guides as to where you're going to go. And that kind of lines you up with what you need to be doing, what you need to be thinking about, and kind of where you're going to be. Because obviously, if everything's a timeline that we manipulate mentally, we can go forward onto a future timeline, the same as we can go back into a past life. So there's nothing to stop us looking at what's coming in the future, which is kind of...
It's really funny you're saying this, because last night I heard somebody creaking. And it's nice when I am about to do clearings and I'm like, who was it? Because they know who was in my house earlier. And they're like, oh, it was another watcher. And I was like, so I'm being watched right now. They're like, yeah, you're being watched. I'm like, well, that's normal. I'm used to that. That's fine. And I was like, any idea why they're watching me? And they're like, well, they're curious about which direction you're going to move. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, there's different timelines, different paths ahead of you. And there's different choices that you will have ahead of you. And they're curious as to what choices you're going to make.
And that's a really good point, Lara. Because of course, everything isn't set in stone. Some key things probably are, but we still can get things badly wrong, and we can still get things badly right. And obviously, from Chen's perspective, when he gives opinions on things, or he gives, obviously we talked about November, which was kind of a bit difficult back in February this year. We talked about stuff happening in potentially November, and after I spoke to him, I said, look, it's not guaranteed. You've been wrong before about things that you forecasted. So we need to be quite careful about what twists and turns happen on the way to somewhere on a timeline that can change. And obviously, we'll all see that November is coming and things aren't particularly
You can feel stuff's getting crazier by the day. And there's a lot of people that had their own cataclysmic event, and they didn't have to wait till November. The people that were in some of our southern states, for example, if they had heeded the warning thanks to Chen for November, then they were more prepared for the things that happened even earlier than that. One of our people that is coming for training in New York did so and was hit by a hurricane months ago, and she was the only one that had supplies, that had been prepared. The only person on her block, because of what Chen said.
Yeah, well. So
there's already people who are very grateful for his warning, and whether or not they're going to need it is irrelevant, in my opinion. I'd rather have a heads up just in case, even if it wasn't, because if it does happen and we didn't get warned, what position will we be in? We'd be, in deep shit.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be a genius to look around the world today and realize there's a lot of catastrophe happening, either man-made or natural, and there's also a lot of flux going on between people and potential wars and things. So you can see that things are likely to get difficult, even if you're not looking at it from a spiritual perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we think about kind of the way the world works. When we broke apart our societies, everything's been made in China. It's all being pulled from China. Pharma, drugs, everything comes from China. So if anything happens worldwide that stops things moving from China to whatever country, then those countries are going to experience a shortage of pharma stuff, cars, whatever happens to be. There's going to be this this big problem, isn't there? And it's bound to happen at some point, because
in the
days, well, you guys in the US used to make everything yourselves, didn't you? You weren't relying on other countries. And in the UK, we used to have, we used to make things, and we've outsourced everything that gets made and produced is now being made in one place generally, and it's bound to be a problem at some point.
Oh, we're aware. This is something we've known for years, that many of us have been, vocalizing about, getting food from other countries as well. As it's just not really sustainable over the long term anyway, when there's certain things that we could be growing here. But anyway, it's a very tumultuous situation here on Earth right now. So it's wonderful to be able to have guidance from the soul guides to help us navigate some of the little precarious areas where you might want to avoid. So, and locations as well, because there's a lot that we've also learned. Somebody also just had a question, just wondering if we are somewhere that needs a clearing, say in a hospital, because hospitals are full of entities and earthbounds and all kinds of stuff. Can we please call Chen in ourselves to try and clear it? Would that work?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do that. Definitely. He's got plenty of time on his hands.
Well, it's not just Chen. You can call in Archangel Michael. You can call in. I mean, lots of people call in all kinds of different beings and deities and soul guides.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? We don't realize how kind of powerful we are with our intentions, and when we think and connect, that's we're changing vibration, we're changing our our frequency, and we're connecting to other entities that can do things. Yeah. And I think when we start to realize that the entities we're connected with, as long as they're good, positive ones, they'll do lots of things for us. Yes. So it's just learning to kind of move your perception into that place that it's going to happen. Like when I think about something, I don't even consider it won't happen. I know it will happen. So there's not even any percentage thought in my mind, I wonder if that doesn't happen. It's like, no, I've asked them to do something, it's going to happen. So in fact it's already happened on the timeline that they're on. So it's just a shift in the way we think, really.
I did a clearing last night, and there were some quite ancient earthbounds, and I asked, like, what were they waiting for? And the soul guide goes, me. Like, everything in its right time, like, and so it's just funny how they don't have any rush, they don't have any fear, they just know that everything happens in its divine time, that everything is happening according to plan, and they have a level of calm and faith that allows me to feel more calm and faithful that things are going in the way that we wish. And it's just really nice to be able to have something that we can do about it. For years, I've felt helpless. and unable to make much difference. And Michelle just said we should probably help clear the area affected by Helene. And just in case, for those of you who didn't hear the beginning of the chat, and I'll mention this a little bit more, we could talk about it more on the Astara in a few minutes when we switch over. But we already cleared 4 towns, and we're clearing probably one every couple days, every other day, just to go down a list of towns that were most affected. And I feel like I've also started writing down other things, because Bosnia, for example, was hit really bad by flash floods. Really, really badly. So this is something that's been happening around the world recently because of, I don't know, maybe energetically, maybe there's some kind of activity, maybe lots of souls are leaving, but things are getting crazier down here. And it's really nice to know that we have so much support and that we can help beings who are still struggling even after death.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. I think, again, we don't kind of realize that they can't help themselves. When they're earthbound, they are earthbound. They're bound to the earth, and they, and a lot of them, get pushed into people's etheric fields by entities, and they can't get out either. So, until people like ourselves come along and actually release them and let them go and move them on back to that, whether it's heaven or whichever words you want to use, but into that vibration that they should be in, they're stuck waiting for help, basically. And that's kind of what makes this work so kind of justified and important, really, because if you think about most jobs are only physical jobs that involve physical people, but they're not really changing anything from a kind of planetary perspective or vibration perspective or from a spiritual perspective. But this work actually changes all of those things. So it's, it is kind of, I think it's very underrated, really. And I think it's going to be, fast forward 5-10 years from here, the word, spirit release therapy or remote spirit release or something, I think it'll be a household name, a household word, because people will understand the importance of why people need to do this work, almost like sort of firefighters and other kind of, people that you need to have. I think we're moving into that spiritual space whereby, the general populace will actually understand that there is a spiritual dimension, and, we need people that can work in it, basically.
I like that. Like a spiritual paramedic / Ghostbuster.
Yeah. You bring your Ghostbuster outfit.
No, I left that with you. I need to get another one.
I think he's up at the unit somewhere.
But I feel like, things are really ramping up, and the soul guides, they're really hinting that things are going to change more than we've ever thought possible over the next few years. So it's kind of like a get ready and buckle up that we keep hearing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot coming, really, in a good way, because again, things need to change here. Things are not great, are they? From a kind of the way we're all living and the way we all pay tax and the control and all the things we talk about are not fantastic. So there needs to be a big shake-up, really, if you like, so to make things more positive, and that has to start somewhere. And obviously, it's people like us in the trenches that kind of become the equilibrium and the balance point to bring in some more positive energy and start working with these guides that we can't see, but we know that they're there because we see what they do. So, we're able to quantify the kind of spiritual elements of how we work and what we do, and we just need a lot more people to do it.
We do. We've got our work cut out for us. We could spend all day, every day clearing, and I don't know if we could make a dent in the amount of stuff that needs to be cleared. Especially because when you go in and you clear a hospital, for example, and then you come back a month later, things have already moved back in a little bit. Not as bad, but you know what I mean? Like, people bring it in. It's like you can sweep your floors and mop your floors, but if you've got traffic coming in, it's going to happen, unfortunately. So it's not just about clearing a space. We constantly have to clear ourselves, keep clearing our homes, keep clearing our workspaces. And yeah, we also offer that too. We offer, you offer business clearings as well, Andy, yeah?
Yeah, so we do land and business, so commercial companies. Because you think about it, everything's energy, isn't it? So if you run a commercial company or organization, then again, depending upon the people that work for you and what you do and how you sell products and everything that you do, everything has a vibration. So if you're working with people without integrity, or people or companies that aren't working very well with you, then that brings the vibration down of the commercial enterprise, and therefore, the banking system, finance system is energy. So again, if there's a lot of corruption things involved in that type of transaction, then of course the energy is going to be low.
Yeah.
So, clearing, we know, as you know, Lara, we know that everything needs clearing continually because everything's energy.
Yeah.
And the longer you go without clearing things, generally the more dense and negative things become.
Yes, wonderfully said. And I think that things are going to keep evolving because nothing ever stays the same. So it's nice to see how this work is going to evolve even over, the next few months.
Yeah, and I think there's so many spin-offs. I know, like you talked about the soul clearing, and there's all sorts of other spin-offs that we can, not just from an SRT perspective, but you can start to look differently at the way things work and think, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could create a group of people that do these things, or there's so many spin-offs to this, the core part of keeping clear, vibrationally, that again, different people coming in are going to have different ideas, different thoughts, and spin things up, and it's only going to benefit all of us ultimately because that's kind of the way it works.
My big passion right now is clearing ley lines. Yeah.
Well, that's that is the energy of the world, isn't it?
The nodes on the ley lines, because they go spread in different directions too. So, like for example, last night when we cleared 3 towns in North Carolina, we did it along the ley lines so they would actually be more effective. Because I asked the soul guides, we have a long list of names in this town, of all these towns that need to be checked, and they said, well, let's start a grid. So we chose 3, to make a pyramid shaped grid around the area so that they could move in while we're not even. So as we're done with the clearing, the soul guides are not. They're still doing their thing. They're still able to tune in. And once you make a grid with the clearing, it allows them to move in and help even further while the rest of us are, I don't know, sleeping or whatever the rest of we're doing. So it's almost like we're setting a foundation so they have more ability to reach certain areas too.
Yeah, I think if you look at what we are, again, we're energetic beings, aren't we? And we're teaming up with these spirit guides. So we're almost like acupuncture pins ourselves. So if you think of when you do acupuncture, you put pins in people, and obviously that's the energetic flow then starts to move better. We as humans are those acupuncture pins that the guides can then use to move energy where you live. And most of us live in quite negative places generally. Chen's laughed before and said, what good would it be for all of the spiritual practitioners to live in wonderful, popular places that are positive? Because it would be a waste of your energy. So most of us are actually living in places that have a negative vibration, or we have money or financial constraints that make us live in generally shit places.
Or our guides put us somewhere safe as well, because there's a lot of people that are wondering, am I in the right place? And then we ask, are they in the right place? And their guides are like, yeah, we put him there for a reason. He's in a good spot, leave him there.
Exactly. So, quite often, when I used to go to London, Chen would be saying, oh, can you go here or miss that tube stop and come off at a different tube stop to go and stand somewhere? And I'd just stand there like a kind of fool, not knowing what I was doing really. But he was using my energy to clear space. Yeah. And it's kind of they're doing that all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're definitely got our work cut out for us, Andy, and it's just so wonderful to have a team to work with, to really back each other up and to learn from each other and to just strengthen what we have as a team, because we are making probably the biggest difference that I've ever seen when it comes to the 5D shift. It's almost like every single time we clear a building or we clear a person, we're raising the vibration of the earth. We're shifting to 5D ever so slightly by shifting the resonance of the planet. So it feels good to actually be accomplishing something.
Yeah, I think you framed it well. And of course, that's why these courses are so well kind of understood by people like you that come from that kind of hypnotherapy background, because you understand how to talk to people and how to perform hypnotherapy. And that's what that facilitation role effectively is that exact skill set. But you're actually running the whole session, and your job is to protect the medium and keep the medium protected whilst they talk to the guide. So that facilitation role is kind of more important than the medium role in the way that we work. And that's kind of why people like yourselves that have come from that background dovetail into this so well. And obviously, of course, it's the first point of clearing the client so that you then can do all of the other work that they need, because then they're sovereign and clear. Whereas if you're working with a client that's not sovereign and clear, then you're only going to get so far with that type of healing because it will generally be blocked.
Well said. I feel that there's going to be a lot of people kind of hearing this and wondering if it's for them. And for those of you who might want to see the work We highly recommend checking out Dr. Terrence Palmer's YouTube channel because he's got so many wonderful lectures and case studies and interesting things to check out on there. But also the Spirit Release Academy Facebook page is filled with information if you guys would like to join. And for those of you who may not know, we've got nearly 10,000 people in our Spirit Release Academy discussion group as well, where we have a lot of conversations about the work we do and the things that we find. So make sure that you guys have followed the page. I'll share the link really quick.
Because you are the link queen, aren't you?
I got it all here. So we have the link for the Facebook page. That is there. And then there's also the Spirit Release group. And the group I really love. It's just so much fun to have conversations in there. We're always having very deep and meaningful conversations in our group. There we go. And on the Spirit Release Academy website as well, there's also tons and tons of information. And Andy's also doing, when are you doing your next course again? You're doing your next course?
October.
October.
So yeah, it starts after we come back from Ithaca. So the idea being that then we run forward.
So if you guys want that, I'll get that as well. There's Andy's website. Make sure you check out Andy's website. He's got cool stuff on here. All kinds of workshops and videos. Chen has a book that you can get.
Chen has merch.
I love being able to see Chen's face while I'm working, just chilling. I love my my little magnets and everything on my fridge too. He's sitting next to us.
Yeah, I'm bringing some more stuff over. So James sorted out, tote bags, and we got kind of, fridge magnet. And what we've got is bumper stickers. Not that we use them in the UK particularly, but we know you guys are very keen on the whole bumper sticker thing, really. So, so I'll put some of those in my case to bring over.
Cool.
So you can stick that on your truck.
Nice. Are you going to be selling some of your Organite class?
Yeah, so I'll bring some stuff over with us, basically. Or James sorted all that out. So, and obviously Ollie's coming, so Ollie's going to kind of be the, kind of my interface, I guess, from that perspective, to sort out some of those sorts of things on our behalf and do some of the videoing and sort of film work and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun. We're looking forward to it.
Indeed.
I'm make sure the pilot's clear.
I can't wait to hang out with you guys and to also meet new students and to hang out with them too. It's wonderful, spending a week with people that are into the same thing you are, that are also very high vibe people. You really feel like a whole new person when you leave.
Yeah, I think it's important to try and connect to the students as well, because one of the things we always wanted with SRA is we didn't really want to run groups of, of training whereby everyone stays in their own group, because you know what it's like. It's, when you know people, you become quite familiar and connected to them and almost then don't want to connect and speak to other people. But we want to try and create a place whereby everyone interconnects and everyone's working together, and you can work with other mediums that you don't know, and mediums that you don't know are happy to work with you. And, that whole thing just becomes so much bigger than just people staying in their little kind of, I guess, their comfort zone to a certain degree, really.
Bradley says, I'll bring the handy dandy dad joke book.
Perfect. Yeah.
There we go.
We'll be looking
Bradley will be our entertainment in the evenings.
Yeah. Well, rather than you, Laura, I thought that was your job.
I am happy to share that honor with someone else.
Exactly. So it's going to be 50-50.
Yes. We're going to have a great time, no doubt.
Cool.
I'm going to share a link really quick because we are going to pop over really quick. I'm going to do my Monday public mentorship on Astara. So for those of you who might be new, you can check the link right there, astaracommunity.com. We have an organization where we basically just hang out together and learn things from each other and sharing things. So we're going to be doing that today. For those of you who might be interested in hearing more about what we cleared from those 3 towns, I'll talk about that a little bit. And we'll also talk about some of the weather modification, because the Soul Guides did validate that it was intensified and redirected intentionally. So we could talk a little bit about that and a few other things that I've been learning from cases. So yeah, always good fun.
Perfect. And the Astara thing is amazing. So if you're not an Astara member, head on over, because the Astara is going to be the new kind of spiritual Facebook, really, I think.
We're hoping anyway.
Well, the energy is right, and the people that are doing it have got integrity, and you're the right people to do that sort of thing. So, it's only going to grow, and it's only going to be supported as time goes by. And we all know that Facebook's kind of pretty controlled, and probably will become a more difficult place to do business, I guess, and connect people. Which things like a Starra are going to take that place eventually.
Well, perhaps next week we can have a little visit with Chen even while we're in class, huh? We
Yeah,
can
cool.
come through and say hi to everybody next week on the podcast.
Yep, we'll definitely be doing that. Perfect.
Sounds great. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us today. Make sure that you go and check out Jacqueline Burke at 9 a.m. tomorrow is going to be the Om Daily Coherence. Can't even speak today. Coherence at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm going to switch over to a Starra now to run the mentorship. So much love, everybody. Thank you again, Andy. It's great
Cheers,
to see you.
folks. Bye-bye.
See you guys soon. Bye.